Hi, thank you for joining today. We're going to be here with a wonderful lady, Melanie Johnson. She will be arriving with us shortly so she can share the amazing things that are happening and how she went from teacher to CEO. There's so many things that this young lady is doing and making a difference in many, many, many lives around the world. Has started her own business, has helped other people to start their business, has helped other people to go from being in a situation where we've had serious issues going around the world with coronavirus and with many other things as well. And people have not known what to do, who to turn to, how to handle some of their financial situations, their loved ones' crisis, death, challenges, struggles, the many things that come with a world in turmoil. And she has managed through all of this to find her path and her way in a way that she had never imagined that she'd be going, and has made this path full with flowers and abundance, good things, great people, amazing opportunities, and a world of blessings that was just beyond her belief. So she's going to be arriving with us shortly and tell us about her journey and the things that she's overcome, how she overcame them, and how she can help you as well. I'm Candi Perry, the security lady. And I help people to gain confidence by empowering them through the use and knowledge of the latest technology as it relates to personal protection and home business security. Total life wellness is my main focus of everything. Since we're going to be talking about literacy today, I'm going to mention a few books. Give a shout out to Norman Vincent Peale. Over 5 million copies in print. This is a book that many of you who are in business know all about this particular business, the power of positive thinking. That is what I live by. That is my world. And here we have Miss Melanie Johnson. We have an audience.
Hi.
We give it up to Melanie Johnson. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Apologies for the late arrival.
That's perfectly fine. Better late than never. And it is worth the wait for you because you've done so many amazing things. And the world is sitting out here just waiting to hear all about Miss Melanie Johnson and loving literacy. Let me ask you, first of all, I do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because I know your schedule is just crazy, crazy, crazy busy. So thank you for joining today and for wanting to put out there the things that you're doing. Let's start with how you went to some quick basics on how you went from teacher to CEO and what made all of that happen, why that change had to come about.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, Candi. I appreciate it. When I first started off with being a public school teacher, I just got to backtrack a little bit before then. I was actually a high school dropout. I did not really have any guidance in my life, didn't know what I wanted. And then when I realized the importance of education and how far it could possibly get me, that's when I began to zone in and focus. From simply hearing just a little phrase from a radio while I was taking the bus to go to work. And it said, if you don't own your own self, who will? If you don't own it, who will? So you have a choice, right? Either you do what you want to do, or somebody's going to tell you what you need to do. And so I did not want to go with that second option. I've had little jobs where I've worked retail, and I just wasn't happy with that. So I decided to go in a totally different direction, and I started to focus on my own career. And first step was getting the GED, and just visualizing and speaking that over myself and actually dreaming about it, obsessing about it. And I got to the point where I became so focused on that, nothing else around me mattered. I just had to finish that one goal, and I got it.
Right.
They sent it to me. This is way before internet, even came about. You have to fill out a form and mail it,
Right.
email. This wasn't go on the internet and fill out a form. Nope. I had to wait exactly 2 months to get a response back that I actually passed that test. So once I passed that test, I pushed forward, and again, I visualized what it was that I wanted. And the visualization to me was to complete college, to become a college graduate, because I would be the first one in my family that would have finished that path on life. And so I went ahead and I had to drop out because I had my first son. But the feeling was still there and it was still strong and I still visualized it. So as soon as I got him settled and I finally got a little bit of a job, we actually ended up relocating from like New York down to Georgia. And that's when I started my journey again on education. And I enrolled on an online school when online school was new. So I'm not going to go back so far because we know that was a while ago. But I went ahead and I enrolled in school and I finished school, even with being pregnant with my kids, like both of my kids, my last two children. I was still in school and I still finished. Remember wrapping up my last exam, a paper I'm about to submit, and I was having contractions. And I wrote at the end of the paper to my professor, I am going into the hospital. I'm having contractions. You will not hear from me for a few days. And she actually called the hospital to confirm that I was there and to just tell me that I passed the course because I pushed through. But that's part of the visualization, being obsessed about what it is that you want to finish, having that drive, having that craving, being hungry for every single day. That is what pushes you forward. So fast forward, I got a job, which was my dream job at that time, of being a public school teacher. I would have never known that would be the area that I would go into because I was a high school dropout. And so I realized that my strength was actually working with smaller children. And I would hear from the parents consistently in preschool, pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and fifth grade. If it wasn't for you, my child wouldn't be in this spot. And I kept hearing it. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm onto something that I just still didn't know yet. But inside of me, I wanted to do something different. So then what came about.
So you had like this driving passion inside that you actually listened to, that you didn't put it aside and say, well, I can't do it because I have young children. I can't do it because I'm in this situation. You just kept following that drive.
To some extent, yes. And then I'm going to say no. I'm going to be real forward with you on that. I was denying myself this one part on how I can move outside of the traditional way of doing business. I thought the only way to survive is you have to get a job. And that's not necessarily the case. You can create your own job. So, last year, in the beginning of 2020, right, I knew that I wanted to change and do something different. Actually, it was the summer of 2019. I knew I wanted to do something different. I really did not want to go back to the classroom, but I didn't listen to myself. So I ended up having a very difficult year because, one, that passion sizzled out. I was burnt out and I wasn't listening to my true self. And when you don't listen to your true self, you're also not listening to what God is telling you.
That's right.
And when you don't listen to him, things ain't going to go the way you want.
I could write a book on that one.
So that's when I had to stop and think what it was that I wanted. And my husband happened to be listening to a motivational speaker and heard about this woman named Sarah Centrella. And she had a hard time. She was with 3 kids. Her husband left her and she had no money, no job, nothing. So she had to start from scratch. And she now has like a manifestation like business. And this woman is fabulous. And so I was so inspired by her story. I said, man, I have support. She didn't have anybody. And she had 3 kids. And she made it work. I said, how can I do that? How can I do that? So I went ahead and every day I was writing down these little homeworks that she had assigned and was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do to grow this passion that I have, but I don't know what it is? Well, along the lines, my daughter started becoming very ill, right? She has epilepsy. So we had to figure out ways to help her. And it just wasn't getting any better. Like the stress from school, now she was virtual learning. And with the virtual learning, it was harder for her. It was getting harder for her. It was getting harder for everybody.
And this is all going on last year. This is last year all this was going on.
This is the beginning of, this is the end of 2019 now.
Okay.
We're talking.
Okay.
And when I got on holiday for Christmas, I said, man, it felt so good to be with my family, just to spend time with them. And so I'm flipping through an album We have like our family albums and stuff. And I'm looking and I'm like, where on earth am I? So I'm going, it's a few years, honey. I'm looking. And I started looking and I was like, I still don't see myself. So I started asking the kids. I was like, well, they'll tell me. They remember. You can ask a kid anything and they'll remember. They can recall it.
Right.
So I started asking my oldest son, I said, where am I in this picture? Like, I was like, am I taking the picture? He was like, no, Mom, remember you had to go to work and do XYZ project. I said, okay. So then I asked my middle son, I was like, well, where was I in this picture? And I was like, surely I was there. Maybe I was doing something else in the back. He's like, no, Mom, remember you had to grade papers. You had a deadline. And I said, okay. And then I'm like, okay, I got this other event. I was like, I'm pretty sure I was probably just grabbing drinks or something for like a little recital thing for my daughter. And I was like, Alyssa, where was I? Right? And she's like, Mommy, you weren't there, remember? You had to enter data in. And it hit me right then and there that I was so busy being busy, I was not looking at the most important thing that I needed in my life, which was my family. And so it really broke me. Like, it made me cry. I realized I had given up the most important thing for what? The job will always be there. There will always be work, no matter how much you catch up. And it wasn't until that moment I realized this. It doesn't matter how good you are at organizing, being real firm with your time, the work always comes.
Always.
It does not matter. And so I decided right then and there that I had to make a choice. And at the same time, also manifested sickness on myself because I wasn't taking care of myself. Because I was so focused on taking care of everyone else.
Yes.
So for a whole week, I was sick. And that next Sunday, I had made the decision, I'm not going back. And that was a very big faith move. Very big. Very big. And that was something God told me. And so I went to the job. I walked into my boss's office and I said, effective immediately, I quit. She was like, what? So yeah, I quit. Because I realized the longer that I stayed there, the more that I was dying inside. My dreams were dying. I seen people around me that had so much potential and their dreams died. And I didn't want to go there anymore. I didn't want to be in the land of dead dreams. I wanted to be in the land of thriving, living life as you should.
Oh my gosh, you got me jumping on my chair.
Family, knowing the most important things.
That's right.
Not only that, but owning your own mistakes, learning from them and moving on. That's what I wanted. But for me, being in that one place, that wasn't my season anymore. That season had passed and I wasn't looking at it from the standpoint that I look at it from now. I was looking at it as, oh my gosh, I gotta make money. I gotta earn money. So I walked out, went into the parking lot, and I cried tears of joy. I cried tears of joy because I realized that this was the first time I'd ever listened to myself. And you have to listen to yourself when you move forward on this kind of journey. Because if you don't, my friend, I'm telling you, it's going to be a bumpy road. Listen to God and listen to your feelings. That's the two things that I've learned of the most. And I went home and I told my husband beforehand that I was going to do this. And he was like, okay. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, well, I got to figure out something. So in the meantime, COVID hit now 2 weeks later. Everything was on lockdown. And I was surprised because I wasn't really following the news. And so I was like, this Corona thing is like real serious. And so I had parents reaching out to me asking, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? And it kept happening. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to help because I'm not doing anything right now. And I know people have a need. When people have a need, meet it. When people ask you for help, it's because they know, they believe in you, that you have the skill that you have that can meet their need. So it wasn't even a monetary thing at that point. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking, let me see how I can help them because I know how it feels to be a parent and you're not sure what to do. You got parents that were working from home trying to work full time and be teacher. And that is a hard job, especially when you can't separate the two. Your mom and teacher, and some people, they don't have the patience for that, or they can't locate the correct materials for their child for them to be successful. So this is when I realized that this was for me. I had one parent, I stayed on the phone with them for like an hour. Didn't pay, I didn't ask for payment. But at the end of that call, I said, was there anything else that I could help you with your child? They said, you did a fabulous job. How much do I owe you? And that's value. That I realized I contributed value to their lives.
Yes.
And it wasn't any exchange that I wanted at that moment. But I was like, I can make money doing this. And at that moment, that's when I realized that I can charge for my services. And now I charge for other services as well. But that was my journey. And, now I'm doing great with this particular tutoring service. I've spun off. I'm actually doing 2 more services. One is going to be specifically for teachers that are wanting to exit the classroom. So I know that there's a process, a mental process that you have to go through. It's the debagging process. How many bags you ever seen a teacher walk with?
Oh my gosh.
This is a debagging process.
Right.
You got your homework, you got your grades, you got a grade, you got other materials you've got to assemble. Well, it's the same thing when you exit the classroom, because when you could leave a classroom, but if your mind is still in that classroom and you're going to a totally different area, you may not succeed.
Okay, now let's hold right there for a second.
Yeah.
You mentioned so many things that we could just have a series of this out of this is loving literacy. Yeah. You mentioned that you knew at a particular point a couple minutes ago that your season, that you had served your season, it was over. Now you just said the classroom, exiting out of the classroom, it's almost like those two can go together when you know it's time for that season's ending and a new season is beginning. Okay, then also with this right here, I gave you my word as a security lady, and I keep my word that we would not go over 15 minutes, and we're there. So can we, I know you have things to do and other appointments. Can we have you back on this show and continue? Because we need some steps. These people, the people out here that are listening to this, that are excited about this, need some specific steps. And you are just now starting to get into talking about the specific steps that you took, starting with getting out of that classroom. Can we do that?
Yes, we sure can, certainly. And then also, if they want more information, they can go online to Facebook and type in From Teacher to CEO. Okay, and you can go to From Teacher to CEO, and you will see that we have a group there. It's a very small group, and it's growing. And at some point, we are going to close it, and it's going to be membership only. So it's like a small window of time that I'm keeping this group open, and then I'm closing it from the public, and it's only whoever is in the group, you've made it.
Okay, now everybody listening to this, if you're listening to this, you've seen how passionate Melanie Johnson is and how her journey has taken her from being in the schoolroom and having not a lot when it came to finances and going to CEO, the specific things that she did, her journey, her story. You want to hear from this lady. The Facebook, from where I stand right now, as she mentioned, there's no charge. And you know that it's hard to get value anymore out of totally free things. Mm-hmm. So get involved in this, check it out. Going From Teacher to CEO to find out more information. Thank you so much, Ms. Melanie Johnson, and we'll have you back soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Hold on, don't leave.
No, I'm not.